are so excited you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Chelsea. I'm one of the licensed student counselors here on campus. This is Amy Carnahan and Christina Winters, in case you guys have never seen us or met us. We are your counseling team here on campus. We are located on the 3rd floor of Kreitz Hall, and we're here today, what?
Sonia.
And Sonia too. She's not here today. She is located in the library for Project Strive students. We are so excited you guys are here. So we're up here today to introduce our speaker to you, and I'm gonna read the notes from my phone because I was not prepared. So the young man that we have invited to speak to our campus today, truly, I've said it a million times and I don't think I can stop saying it, one of the most remarkable young men I think I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So he has struggled with his mental health on and off probably for the majority of his life, and I'm not gonna take up much time because I want him to tell you who he is. But I've gotten the opportunity to hear him speak, and he really is just truly an incredible young man. And he's here today to kind of talk to you guys about his story and his journey and his advocacy. Very uplifting, very awesome. Anything else you guys want to say?
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. We're very excited. So without further ado, here's Jake Danielson.
Can you guys hear me okay? Sick. I don't know about remarkable, but I appreciate those words. Like you said, my name is Jake Danielson. It's truly an honor to be here with you guys today. These lights are super bright. But it's really an honor to be here with you guys today. Chadron State has done amazing over this past month, just pouring into mental health and, making this place a place that you guys want to be. As someone who's grown up here and didn't really have access to those kind of things when I was growing up, it truly is an honor for what they've done, man. And I love speaking to college kids. I usually speak to high schools, but it's also awesome to speak to college students because honestly, for the first time in your guys' lives, you guys have full control over who you want to be. Like, this is the first time in your life you guys have full control of who you're going to become. For most of you in high school, it was kind of chosen for you. You had to pick what school you went to and when you went to bed and when you woke up and all the different kind of things. You kind of got that chosen for you. But now your whole life is in your hands. You get to decide what you get to do from here on out for the rest of your life. That decision is completely up to you. I know it can feel like it's not a decision that you get to make, or people are still getting to decide that for you. But what I'm here to tell you today is it's all up to you. You have control over the rest of your life starting right now. I know it can feel like every decision you make doesn't matter. Like sometimes you're indestructible. Like it doesn't matter what you do. Like some things is just a little thing. But what I'm here to tell you today is that every single decision that you guys make matters. Every single one. I've been lucky enough to travel the country and work with people from way different walks of life. But sadly, a lot of them are addicts. A lot of them struggle with alcohol. A lot of them, different kind of drugs. Some of them sadly aren't here anymore. Some of them are in prison. And almost all of them can point to where it went wrong in a point in their late teens or early 20s. And it wasn't a big decision they made. Maybe it was a big decision that put them in the wrong space. But it wasn't no big decision. It was a small decision that they made in their early teens or late 20s that led them down a path to be where they are today. So that's why I want to grill into you guys that every single decision that you guys make matters. Because here's the thing, man. I know you guys are all smart, right? You're all in college. You're all here. You guys have amazing professors. You guys are going to be great inside the classroom. I ain't worried about that. What I'm here for today is to see you guys be the best possible versions of yourself outside the classroom. I want to see you guys live your dreams and do the things that you want to do and become the best possible version of yourself when you're not in the classroom. School matters a lot. It's setting you up for the rest of your life. You guys are going to have amazing careers, but the majority of your life will be spent outside of work and outside the classroom and outside of this campus. So what I'm here for today is I want to give you guys some tips and some tricks and some things that you can do so that way you guys can take control of your life and make it what you guys want it to be. But before I get into those things, I start every speech I give with a story of a 21-year-old kid. Like a lot of you, he was a college student. He was thriving. He was living his best life. Former college athlete, former college basketball player, decided to give up that life but was still in great shape. Started for his college basketball team. Was still working out, eating healthy, taking good care of himself. Lived in a house with all his good homies who are also basketball players. They had a cool house, they had a roof over their head. They enjoyed living together. He was commonly liked. He threw parties. He did all the things that he was supposed to do. You know, he was genuinely liked by the public. He just turned 21, like I said, so he was going out. He was having a good time. He was drinking responsibly, but he was still having fun. And honestly, for the first time in his life, he made the honor roll. As a junior in college, he made the honor roll for the first time in his life, which I think was like a 3.5 GPA. So it felt like this kid had everything going for him. A lot of people would want to be in that kid's shoes and be in the same position that that kid was in. And that same summer, that same kid attempted suicide. I was 21 years old when I first tried to take my own life, because being from Pine Ridge and also being from here, I watched a lot of people I care about struggle. I watched a lot of people I care about struggle with addiction. I watched a lot of people I care about drop out of school and not be successful as I was. So I was in a position where I felt like, what did I have to complain about? Why was I in the position that I was in? There's nothing for me to complain about, so I never told anyone what was going on with me, to the point where I couldn't carry that weight anymore. Eventually it became too much for me to carry, and I tried to take my own life. Lucky for me, it didn't work out. I ended up in Sioux Falls Behavioral Health, where it was there. My roommates came and visited me every day, and my parents drove 9 hours to come visit me every day while I was in there. And for me, I realized for the first time that I did have support, that people did want to see me be okay, that I did have help, that help was out there. And even though that my life was good, it was okay for me to struggle. Now, I wish I could say, I figured it all out, and it was all uphill after that, and I was a 4.0 student, and everything was amazing, but that's not just the way life went for me. That next year, I dropped out of school. I started drinking super heavy. I started working construction with my brother. And then that next semester, I got diagnosed with psychosis. Now, most of you probably don't know what psychosis is. For me, I had very heavy visual and auditory hallucinations. For me, what that was like is I used to hear screams so loud, I'd cover my ears. I'd sit in the corner and just cover my ears. I used to feel like these dark things were pulling out my arms and my legs, to the point where I felt like I couldn't move. I'd feel like I was being choked, to the point where I couldn't breathe. I'd be pinned to the ground, to the point where I couldn't even get up. I worked with an amazing team of therapists who were trying to help me get better, but it was to the point where they talked to me about the possibilities of getting gray matter in my brain. They talked to me about the possibilities of me going brain dead. I was worried I was gonna have to be permanently hospitalized. I got to the point where basic tasks I couldn't even do anymore, like tying my own shoes got difficult. I had to walk myself through tying my shoes, opening doors. I had to tell myself how to open it. I couldn't just naturally do it anymore. That amazing team that I work with couldn't even do therapy with me. Every time I stepped in there, they had to walk me through a safety plan, because they felt like every time I was in the building that my life was in danger. Lucky for me, over time, I found some medication that worked. I got myself back on track. And then that next summer, I started struggling with my sleep. So it kind of felt like the same struggle in a different way. It felt like I loved exercising, but I walked out the door, I'd walk right back inside. I was so exhausted, I couldn't even do it. I loved gaming with my friends. I couldn't even put the gaming headset on. I was so exhausted all the time. I was trying to get back into school after dropping out. I was too exhausted to ever do any work. I couldn't work. Basically, my life was doom scrolling my phone every single day and begging that the next night I went to bed, I'd sleep a little better than the night before. So it felt like for years, no matter how hard I tried, something bad was gonna happen to me. I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I was taking care of myself, I was eating right. I was trying to get back into school, I was trying to work, I was trying to do everything that I was supposed to do, and no matter what I did, something bad was gonna happen to me. And so I kind of just gave up. I was able to get my sleep back on track. I took a job working retail in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where I kind of kept hearing the same thing, which was I was doing way better than I should be doing. They said people who have what I have, they don't get to work full-time jobs, I work full-time. They said people who have what I have, they can't take care of themselves. I was lucky enough to have my own apartment. And so for me, I felt like I was doing too well. So I felt like I need to slow down. I felt like I need to back up, to the point where I even remember telling my homeboy, I said, this is the best I'll ever be. I'll never be more than just a regular old retail worker, which is fine if that's what you're into, but I hated it. I hated working retail. It wasn't for me, but I feel like it was the best I could be, so I settled for it. And settling for that put me back down a suicidal path where it was late one night. I was living in Sioux Falls. I was all alone. I sat down, I wrote out a suicide note. Tears started pouring out of my eyes. I got in my car. I started driving. I felt like there wasn't a car in sight. No one saw me. I felt like I was all alone. I eventually got to the falls. Tears pouring out of my eyes still. I got out the car. I started walking. I didn't know what I was gonna do. For a second, I just stopped. I grabbed a lighter out of my back pocket and I set that suicide note on fire. And I asked myself the most important question I've asked myself still to this day, which is, if I was gonna be happy, what was that gonna take from me? If I even had the capabilities of feeling happiness, what was I gonna have to do differently? And asking myself that question truly changed my life. That day wasn't even 3 years ago. I think it was like 2.5. In the past 2.5 years, I've been lucky enough to be named to Sioux Falls Business 30 Under 30 list for the work that I did in Sioux Falls. I've been lucky enough to travel the world, or not the world, the country, world someday, let me not get ahead of myself, the country, and work with people that I've looked up to and that helped me when I was in a difficult time, and travel and get to speak to them. I get to be lucky enough to be here in a place that I grew up and talk about the importance of mental health and the importance of taking care of yourself. And honestly, most important to me, in December of 2020, I got my bachelor's degree from the University of South Dakota, and I'm currently working on my master's in leadership. So it showed me how quickly things can change in just a small amount of time, and that's why I put into your guys' heads that every decision that you make matters. Because I didn't do anything special that day. I didn't change my life around. I didn't make no big difference. I honestly, in the 2.5 years since then, cannot tell you some big thing that I did that put me where I'm at today. But I asked myself a little tiny question of how can I be happy? What can I do differently? And I followed that path every day since, and I get to be here. Because the thing is, if I never asked myself that question that day, if I would have ended up living, I would have kept working construction, I would have turned back to alcohol, I would have probably started doing drugs, and honestly, I probably would have died in a completely different way. But little tiny decisions that I've made every single day since that day allows me to be here with you guys. Which if you told me almost 3 years ago when I tried to take my own life, that I would be speaking in the place that I grew up, talking about why mental health is important and how to take care of yourself, I would have laughed at you. But I get to be here because it's the little things that I do, and I still do every single day. That's what I'm here for. I'm gonna give you guys some things that you can start doing today. You don't gotta wait. You can do them when you leave this room to start to take care of yourself, so that way you can have the life that you wanna live. Because I know what it's like to feel like you don't have control. I know what it's like to feel stuck, to feel like your wheels are turning, to feel like there's nothing you can do. So that's what I'm here for today. I want to give you guys control back over your lives so that way you can live the lives that you're always supposed to live. And the way we start is with vulnerability. Vulnerability, we have to start there because... Is this water?
Yes.
Give me a second. I have a throat problem, so sometimes when I forget my water, I'm about to go down. So we got to start with vulnerability, right? And vulnerability is super important because the thing is, the majority of us, we're tired. We don't know why. We're exhausted, and we don't know why we're exhausted because we're getting enough sleep, and we're working out, and we're taking care of ourselves, and we're eating healthy. But the truth of the matter is, the majority of you in here are dealing and carrying the weight of everything that's ever happened to you that you never told anyone else. And it's weight, and you can feel it, and you carry it with you every single day. The way I like to think about it is bringing all the groceries in at once, right? We all want to do it. We all want to bring all the groceries in, we put them all on our arms. But the difference is, when you don't talk about what's going on with you, you never get to put those bags down. You have to carry those bags with you every single day, and every time something happens to you, someone adds another bag. The thing is, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It doesn't matter how strong you are. Eventually, that weight will be too much to carry to the point where you can't carry it anymore. But when you start to be vulnerable, what you're saying is you're allowing someone else to take those bags off of your arms, off of your shoulders. But they're not carrying those bags. What they're doing is they're helping you put them away so then none of you have to deal with them anymore. That's why vulnerability is so important. And another thing is, so many of you are exhausted because you're someone in class, and then you're someone with your friends, and then you're someone at work, and then you're someone when you go home, and then you're someone with your family, and then you're someone with this different group of friends. And then when you're completely alone, all by yourself, you're someone different than all of those people. And it's exhausting to have to put up 6 to 7 faces every single day. It's so hard to think about who you have to be in every single room that you walk in. But the thing is, when we start to be vulnerable, when we start to talk about who we really are, what we're doing is we're allowing ourselves to be our true, authentic selves in every single room that we're in. You don't have to wear a face anymore or think about who you have to be, because when you start to be vulnerable, you realize that people accept you for you and who you are and who you're supposed to be, so you get to walk strongly in that. I used to hear all the time, like, Jake, I like being around you. You just seem like yourself, which I thought was crazy. Like, who else was I gonna be? But I realized people said that because I walk confidently in who I am all the time, because I don't have to ever think about who I am. I know the people who love me and care about me, for me because I talk thoroughly about what I went through. So I know the people who care about me for who I truly am. Because I know what it's like to be alone. I do. And I truly feel like there's not a lonelier feeling than being surrounded by people who love and care about you and still feeling alone. But the reason that we feel alone is because no one knows who we really are. And so we sit in the loneliness. When we start to be vulnerable, what we're saying is we're allowing other people to know the real us so we don't have to feel alone. People get to know who we really are. Because the thing is, we believe that if we talk about things or if we be vulnerable, it's gonna push people away. That people, we're gonna have shame, or we're gonna lose all our friends, or we're gonna be all alone, or they're not gonna understand, or whatever it is. But the thing with vulnerability is it's usually the exact opposite. Usually, when we're vulnerable, what we're allowing people to do is we're allowing people to come in, right? And it brings people closer together. Because I want you to think of like your closest friends that you guys have, right? It's probably not the coolest person you know. It's probably not the richest person you know. It's probably not the nicest person you know. Honestly, they probably know you. You probably don't even know why you're that close with them. But the real reason you are is because it's the person you know on the deepest level. The reason they're your closest friend, and when people ask you why, you're like, I don't know why I hang out with this person. It's because you understand them deeply, so you guys are close and you're connected. So the thing is, when you start to be vulnerable with everyone, what you're saying is, I'm allowing everyone to know me on a deep level, so that way I can feel close and connected to all the people around me. And then we can all support each other and be there for each other because we all know what we're going through. Because that's the thing, what vulnerability does is it brings us closer together. Because the thing is, someone probably has it harder than you. Someone probably has it not as hard as you. We all go through different experiences, but the thing is that the emotions that we feel, they're all the same. We all know what it's like to be sad or lonely or depressed or anxious or frustrated or angry or feel grief. So it doesn't matter if someone's gone through something heavier than you can still be there to support them and be there for them because you know what it's like to feel those things. That's why vulnerability is important, because we can bring each other closer together just by understanding what someone else is going through. But here's the most important part about vulnerability. We all have someone, I'm telling you, everyone in this room's probably had a friend or a family member, and we know they're going through something, and we reach out and we say, hey man, I know things are tough. I'm here for you. Like, just tell me what's going on. They say, I'm all right. We don't know why they won't talk to us. It's because they think that we are perfect. They think we're perfect too. So they think, why would I talk to them about what's going on with me when they're perfect? They don't know what it's like for me to struggle. But the thing is, every single one of us is going through something. We all know what it's like to struggle and hurt. So the thing is, in order to be vulnerable, in order to make it comfortable for someone else to feel comfortable to be vulnerable, it has to start with you. You have to be vulnerable first, because when you're vulnerable first, what you're doing is you're opening a door for trust. You're allowing other people to feel safe and to feel comfortable to do the same. Like I said, I'm in grad school for leadership. I don't know if I said I was in grad school for leadership, but I'm in grad school for leadership. And it's because I feel like leadership for me has always been stupid. I always thought it was someone talking about, someone who's been chosen, or they have these traits or these qualities, or they have to do something that changes the world. But that's not what leadership is to me at all. All leadership is to me is being willing to be the first person to do something. And when you're willing to be the first person to be vulnerable, what you're saying is, I'll go first. I'll be the first one to talk about what's going on with me so you feel safe to do the same. And then guess what? If you make someone else feel safe and comfortable to talk about what they're going through, they're going to do the same for someone else. And then they're going to do the same for someone else. And then we're all in a community where everyone feels safe to talk about what they're going through, all because you felt comfortable to start with you. That's why vulnerability is important. Because here's the thing. And I guarantee you it happens today too. Everywhere I go, someone says to me, I'm telling you this, Jake, you're the first person I've ever told this to in my entire life. And I used to think, why? Like, why me? Like, why are you picking me? I don't even know you. I was here for an hour. But people feel safe and comfortable to tell me what they've went through because I talk about what I went through so thoroughly. I talk about it so deeply, I talk about it so rawly that other people feel comfortable to do the same for the first time in their life. That's the power that each one of you hold strictly by being vulnerable, is to allow other people to feel safe and comfortable to do the same. When we get through vulnerability, we can start to work on something like affirmations, right? And affirmations was something for forever I thought was super corny. I thought it was like looking in the mirror and saying I'm super cool and I'm awesome and I'm dope and everyone wants to be my friend and I love myself, and I thought I had to like smile and like throw a heart up in the mirror or whatever. I realized that's not what affirmations are at all. All affirmations are saying things you either do believe about yourself or you want to believe about yourself every single day, over and over and over again. So here's the thing about your brains. 85% of your thoughts today are the same as they were yesterday. 85% of the thoughts you'll have tomorrow are the same thoughts you'll have today. 85% of the thoughts you'll have a week from now are the same thoughts you had a week ago. So most of us have negative self-talk of I'm not good enough, or I'm a failure, or no one likes me, or all these things that we say about ourselves all the time. But the truth of the matter is it's probably something you heard when you were 6, or you were 8, or you were 10, or you were 12. But because most of our thoughts are repeats, you've just repeated the same thing to yourself every single day since. So the thing is, when we start to put positive in, your brain's like a computer. Eventually it has to filter the old stuff out. If you talk positively for long enough, eventually over time, all that stuff we used to say about ourselves, it has to get out of you. Because another thing about your brain is it doesn't know if you're telling the truth or if you're lying. So if you say something enough times, eventually your brain's gonna believe it. Because it doesn't know what's true and what's not. And the thing is, if you say something enough times, then you start to act on what you say. Your brain acts on what you believe about yourself. So if you say you're a failure, you'll fail on purpose. If you say you're a bad friend, you'll purposely be a bad friend. If you say you deserve to be alone, you'll put yourself in situations where you end up alone no matter what. But it works in the opposite way. If you say I'm a hard worker, you'll naturally work harder. If you say I'm caring, you'll care more. If you say I'm a winner, you'll end up winning. That's why affirmations are so important, because strictly just by saying words, you're literally changing your actions, and then you're changing your behavior because you're behaving in a different way because your actions are different, literally because you said something about yourself. Words alone have the power to change literally who you are. That's why affirmations are so important, because just simple words have the power to change who we are as people. And we work through affirmations, then we can get to gratitude. And gratitude is something I hated for a long time. I absolutely hated it. Because I thought it was what I should be grateful for. I thought I had this great life. I should be happy. I'm healthy. I should feel good about that. I have great friends. I should feel better. But what I realized is that's not what gratitude is at all. What gratitude is when everything feels dark. For you guys, it might be like when you fail a test, right? And you still actually studied really hard for it, and you still ended up failing. And then you go home, and you and your friends are fighting, so you feel all alone. And then maybe you had a relationship that didn't work out, and then you call home, and then there's a big death in the family, so you're working through that, and then you got to go to work, and you don't know if you're going to keep your job because you have all these different things going on, and then you get on your phone, and it feels like all these things are going on in the world, and then it's like, what's the point? What am I even trying for? It's in those moments that you think of the good things, no matter how small they are. And for me, it's when I get to see my baby sisters. They aren't babies anymore. They're actually in middle school, but to me, they're babies. I spent the majority of their lives either in college or struggling with my mental health. So now that I get to be close to them, and I get to see them grow, and I get to see their faces light up when I walk in the door, I want more moments like that. Or it's when I get to see my homies. I'm a little older than you guys, so I get to see my friends every single day. We had to work on it, but when we get to meet up every few months, we don't even have a plan, and we just sit around and we talk, and it feels like there's not a worry in the world. I want more moments like that. Or it's something simple as a night of sleep. Because I know what it's like to struggle with sleep. So even if my whole day was awful, thinking, you know what, at least I'll sleep tonight, we can try again tomorrow. Or I'll be vulnerable with you guys right now. Speaking for me is really hard. I don't know if you guys notice, I constantly swallow, my head hurts, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I had a couple of speeches in the last couple of weeks, I literally almost passed out of every single one. It's hard for me to be up here. Chadron State's been gassing me up. I've been questioning if I can even make an impact, if I can even make a difference, if people even want me here. Like, it's hard. It's hard for me to be up here. It takes everything I have. And honestly, if I go down, one of you is gonna have to carry me off. But I think in my brain, like, what if I show up today and one person's life feels like it changed because I showed up? What if with 100 people I'll see with you guys in the night, only one person feels like their life is on a different trajectory because I came here today, I at least have to try. I had to roll out of bed, and I got here, and I'm gonna give you guys everything I have because this means everything to me, because that's what gratitude is. It's this little light that you find in the darkness, and sometimes it's gonna feel dark. And holding on to that little light, I truly believe that that light is hope. And when you step towards it every single day, when you start to step towards hope, eventually that light starts to shine brighter. And the brighter that light shines, eventually over time, it doesn't feel so dark anymore. And then all of a sudden you're happy that you never gave up when things were tough. Because here's the thing, it's easy to get stuck in the bad. It's easy to think about how awful things are and to get stuck in the dark and to think everything's awful. But the truth of the matter is when we start to focus on the good little things, we realize there's way more good than we could ever imagine. So after we work through gratitude, we can focus on meditation. And again, meditation was something, God, I'm gonna drink this water. Meditation is something I struggled with for a long time. Because I thought it was like you had to be a hippie and you had to sit with like crisscross applesauce with your fingers in the air and like you had to sit in a van. And so I was like, I'm not doing that. I thought it was corny. I was like, you can't make me do it. But the truth of the matter is all meditation is, it's just deep breathing. All it is deep breaths. Because the thing is, like, life's gonna get overwhelming, especially for you guys, right? Because for you guys, it's gonna be like, I gotta go to class today, but I also gotta focus on work, but then I have to pay my bills, but then I gotta think about time to stay with my friends, but then I also gotta see my family members, but then I also gotta think about the text next week, and I gotta do all these other things, and all of a sudden life can get so overwhelming all at once. Sometimes all you need to do is slow it down and take a deep breath. And what that deep breath is saying is, in this moment right now, I'm okay. Like, things might be overwhelming, things might be hard. I might not know what to do next, but right now in this moment, I'm okay. And people ask me all the time, how long do I meditate for? Do I do 5 minutes? Do I do 10 minutes? Do I do 20 minutes? That's up to you. But the truth of the matter is, it only takes 6. It takes 6 deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth like you're breathing through a straw, to slow down your nervous system. That's all it takes. That's it. And the thing is, slowing your nervous system down isn't going to fix everything, but what it's allowing you to do is make a better decision. Because most of us make our worst decisions when we're worked up, when we're angry, when we're anxious, when we're frustrated, when we're overwhelmed. That's when we make our worst decisions. So sometimes taking a deep breath, all it's going to do is allow you to make a better decision. Because like I said, every decision that you make matters. It could be the difference between setting your life on the path that you want it to be or going off track. That's why meditation is so important. Because not only is it telling you that you're okay, it's allowing you to make a better decision. Now this one's hard. I save it for close to the end because it's probably the hardest thing that most of you will ever do in your entire life. And this one is forgiveness. Like I said, forgiveness is difficult because the majority of you have probably been hurt so bad that that person does not deserve your forgiveness. Or on the opposite end, you feel like you've made such a mistake that you feel like you don't deserve forgiveness. And that's even how I felt. I felt like even when things were going amazing, when my life was exactly where I wanted to be, when I was traveling to speak, I was in the 30 under 30 list, I was doing all these things I could have dreamed of, and I still felt like my wheels were turning. I felt like I wasn't going anywhere, like I wasn't healing, like I wasn't being where I wanted to go. It's because no matter how small of a mistake I felt like I made, I went back to the person that I used to be. So for me, I could wake up 5 minutes late on a Saturday when it didn't matter. I could miss the gym after a month straight of going. But for me, I repeated the same things to myself over and over again of I'm a failure. I deserve to be alone. I don't even deserve to be here. I'm the same self-harming, suicidal kid that I've always been. It's because when you don't forgive, you spend the rest of your life living in the past. So I spent years putting myself back in the shoes of the same kid who tried to end his own life because I never forgave myself for the mistakes that I made. So every single mistake that I made, I went right back to the way I used to feel. But the second I chose forgiveness, the second I let go of all the hurt that I had, I started focusing on the future. And that's why I really brand forgiveness into you guys, because you guys have a lot of time left. Some of your professors don't. You guys have the rest of your lives to focus on who you're going to become and what you're going to do. I don't want you to spend it thinking about something that happened to you. Because the thing is, I promise you, every single one of you know an adult, and it seems like they've lived the same day every single day for the last 20 or 10 or 30 years. And they seem angry and frustrated all the time, and you ask them why, and they say it's because this thing happened to me when I was 15, or this thing happened to me when I was 20, or this thing happened to me when I was 17. They've never been able to forgive whoever did that to them or what they did, so they've carried it with them every single day since. That's what happens when you don't forgive, is you spend the rest of your life thinking about what happened to you instead of thinking about what you can do. Now, I still make mistakes, right? I'm not perfect. We're all still learning. We're all gonna mess up. Every single one of you is gonna make a mistake in here. But the thing is, the majority of you are doing the best for what you know right now. So it's easy afterwards to say like, oh, I wish I would have done this different. I wish I wouldn't have hurt this person. I wish I wouldn't have hurt myself. I wish I would have learned. But you wouldn't have known that if you wouldn't have went through what you went through. So the important thing is that you did the best for what you knew how to at that time, and that deserves forgiveness. And the thing is, the second you forgive yourself, you can stop living in that cycle and finally let go and be free and think about who you're gonna be. And on the flip side of that, like I said, most of you have probably been hurt so bad by someone that they never deserve your forgiveness. Some of you, I can't imagine what other people have done to you. But the thing is, you're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you, so you don't have to spend the rest of your life holding on to the weight of what that person did to you. The most important thing you can do is forgive, because you deserve to spend the rest of your life thinking about who you're gonna be. And forgiveness isn't saying I'm gonna let this person back in my life, but the thing is, when we don't forgive, we say things like, I'm never gonna trust again, I'm not gonna let people back in, I deserve to be alone. I had to do this all by myself now. The difference is when you forgive, you say things of like, I'm gonna find better people. I'm gonna make better friends. I'm gonna try differently this time. I'm gonna take a step towards growing. That's what forgiveness allows. It allows you to let go of all the things that have ever happened in your past and focus on all the things you're gonna be in your future. Because I know every single one of you in here in your own way is gonna do something amazing and fantastic. I don't want it to get stopped because you're thinking about something that happened to you. I got one more thing for you guys. But before I get into that, I have to be really honest. Like, healing is hard, right? Most people always come to me and they say it's easier said than done. You're right. Healing's miserable. It takes everything that you have and then some. And sometimes it's gonna feel like for months you're trying and you're doing the right thing over and over again, and something else keeps happening. It's like, what's the point? Why am I even doing this? And sometimes you're gonna do the right thing and you feel like you're finally on the right track, and then you're gonna make a mistake and it's gonna feel like you fell all the way back down the stairs and you have to start over all again. But the truth of the matter is, all I'm asking you to do is to try. Because I'm telling you, if you try, if you put some time away every day, no matter how good or how bad things are, to heal, I promise you, you're gonna come out the other side feeling better. And the thing is, you're gonna hear lots of people say the same thing as me, but I'm not gonna say it to you because I learned it in some book, or I learned it in a class, or I read it somewhere. I'm saying it to you because I spent years of my life thinking I had no reason to be here and begging every single day that I'll never wake up again. And now I wake up every day excited, and I get to do things like this, and I get to be someone that wants to be alive. That's why I know how important it is. And I've been able to work with dozens of people who say the same thing, who say, I'm so glad I never gave up when it was hard, because I'm so happy to be here now. I can think of the day, it was a couple years ago, where I called my friend Casey, tears coming out of my eyes, and told him, this is the first day I've ever been happy to be alive. The thing is, I've made lots of mistakes. I got cuts all over my arms. I've hurt a lot of people. I've messed up. I've told myself I was gonna stop doing things over and over again. But the thing is, every time I messed up, every time I got knocked down, I got back up and I tried again. I'm not asking you guys to be perfect. I'm not asking you guys to do everything exactly the right way. All I'm asking is that you don't give up and you keep trying to heal, because if you do, if you keep trying, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how many times you mess up, no matter how many times you make a mistake, if you're willing to get up and try again, I promise you're gonna come out the other side feeling better and being happy that you never gave up on yourself. That's why healing is so important. Because we all know someone who's living their dream or doing the thing that they wanna do, or they have $1 million or whatever it is, and they still are miserable. But me, I get to be happy doing what I do, doing what I love, because I focus on me first, so I get to reap the benefits of everything I do. That's why healing is number one. Because none of the stuff you do in this life will matter if you don't feel good in here. That's why healing is so important. And yes, it's gonna take everything sometimes, but I promise you, if you do it, it's worth it. Now, the last thing I got for you guys, you can do it the second you leave this room. You can even do it when I'm talking, I don't care. But the thing that I need you to do, if you do nothing else, I don't even care if you zoned out the whole rest of the speech. I need you to do this one thing right now. When you leave this room, I need you to tell someone that you care about them. And some people are gonna laugh you off and say like, you're being weird, man, or like, what's good with you, or like, why are you acting like that, or what's wrong? But I promise you, it means something to them. Most of us have just never been told that we've been cared about, so we don't know how to respond, but I promise you, it makes people feel good. And I can also promise you that every single one of you in this room knows someone who's struggling and they're not telling you. And you can say, oh, it's not me. I promise you, every one of you knows someone who's really struggling to keep going and they've never said anything about it. The thing is, hearing that they're cared about might be what keeps them going. I've worked with another dozen people who said the only reason that they're still alive is because they got a random text or a random call, or their friend has showed up and said that they missed them, or they cared about them, or just asked how they're doing, and they said, you know what, I'm gonna keep trying because I know that someone cares. That's the power that each one of you hold. It really has the power to change the whole energy in the room. I'm gonna prove it right now. I need you guys to have my back on this one. I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. I need you to turn to someone next to you and say something nice to them. I don't care how little it is. I don't care how uncomfortable it is. I usually have a timer on the wall. You guys are just gonna have to bring it back to me when I say 10 seconds. So I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Ready, go. All right, bring it back to me real quick. You guys can't see what I see, and I can also barely see because his lights are blinding me, but you guys are all smiling, like everyone's in a good mood. A couple of you are trying to hide it and act like it's not a big deal, but mostly everyone in here is feeling great now. 10 seconds. Most of you, we've just talked about the hardest thing you've ever talked about in your entire life, and you're gonna leave this room smiling. Why? Because we took 10 seconds to change the whole energy in the room just by you guys saying nice to someone, saying something nice to someone. Because here's the thing about being a leader, right? Again, you don't have to be in Times Magazine. You don't gotta win any awards. You don't gotta make $1 billion. You don't gotta be the smartest guy in school. You don't have to change the whole world. All you have to do is take 10 seconds to be willing to change the whole world for someone else. That's the power that each one of you hold, is to take a little bit of time each day to pour into someone else, to make them feel seen and valued and heard. And the thing is, when you guys start doing that, then they're gonna start doing that for other people. Then the whole school culture is changed. And then those people take that home to their families, and their families take that in the communities. And then all these communities have changed, all because you were willing to take 10 seconds to make someone feel valued. These things, they truly mean everything to me, but I'm not telling you to figure them all out today. I'm asking you again to try. Try to be vulnerable with someone. Try to take a deep breath. Try to let someone know that you care about them. Just give it a shot. Because here's the thing. When you're willing to try these things, and you're willing to let people know that they're valued, not only are you changing lives, you guys are saving lives. Thank you guys so much.